And we are live. Wow. It must be almost strange for you guys now with life in lockdown. Like, I mean, is it difficult? I mean, being in a band, trying to catch up with each other. Obviously, you all must be used to being with each other and the rest of the bandmates all the time. And now you kind of have this world of isolation. Like, how's it been?
Yeah, it's especially annoying because we had so much stuff booked for the first, I think it was literally the first week that lockdown was announced. We had, I think, I had 5 videos planned. 3 for the band, 1 for a single I did for someone else, and another one for a YouTube video for Anderton's page as well. So that was obviously not a small one either. So when lockdown was announced, we had to cancel all of our plans. So going from playing, on average, I mean, we probably average a gig a weekend, 2 gigs a weekend, plus practicing, generally hanging out with each other as well. So yeah, going from that to just stuck at home, so close to getting everything done for the album, and then just having that slight frustration of just waiting a little bit longer.
Does it give you, trying to think does it give you a unique opportunity, the fact now you can do more writing? Or does just because you can't be with lots of other people, does that hinder it? I mean, what's your...
That's a tough one, actually. I've been finding, because I haven't been doing, I've had no sort of external exposure to things because you've just been locked down in your house doing nothing. So finding inspiration for anything is really difficult to do. It's either you look at the news, which is... Yeah, and then you try and write about that.
Have you written a song about COVID yet?
Here
we are in isolation.
No. Not quite. Not quite. It's tempting, but it's that's the only thing, things in the news are the only things you can look at and maybe try and draw inspiration from. You've got no personal experience that you're going out and doing stuff to find inspiration. So I've been writing things and it's all been sounding the same. And it's all been sounding the same because you're just going through that same cycle of just doing the same thing day in, day out, day in, day out. Whereas if there was some variety, you might get some different things interleading in. But that's what's been happening to me. I've just been opening up Reaper, strumming away and going, that sounds exactly the same as the thing I wrote 3 days ago. And it's been a real tough one for me. But Joey's actually been smashing it with the writing.
Fire.
He's actually writing really good stuff.
So how does who in the band is sort of behind the writing? Is it a shared thing? Is someone go off and write them, or how does it work?
I mean, yeah, it's weird because there isn't...
Joey, sorry, just a tiny bit quiet. Just bring the mic up.
Yeah. Is this a bit better?
Much better, yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird one. There is no kind of set structure. I think if someone comes up with a cool riff, it used to be a case where we wouldn't be able to kind of record... Oh, shit, I'm just drawing out.
This is the best thing about live.
I know, right?
Unedited.
Dropping stuff everywhere.
Because when you're on stage, you're so tight and everything looks perfect, right? It is good to know that you're a real person. Because when I'm watching some of your videos, I'm like, fuck, these guys are cool. Just saying to my wife before we joined, I'm like, these guys are going to be a bit too cool for me, babe. I'm like, I've never been cool or trendy, and I'm like, these guys are top level cool and trendy.
No, honestly, we were playing a show. I like climbing things, and I don't know why. I just get on stage and I don't know. I've become an acrobatist. Is that a word?
Acrobat.
You can.
Acrobat, Joe.
So hang on, you're telling me you're doing somersaults on stage?
No, it's rolling about. No, I don't know why, but and Pit of Snakes at the very end, for some reason, I was climbing stuff. And I mean, at London, we were playing a show, and it was, I think, Zygmunt von Under. I think you weren't actually there, James. You were at Queens of Stone Age.
I was watching Queens of Stone Age. I was like, I'm binning you guys off. Yeah. But see you later, guys. I'm going to go watch a cool band. You guys go do whatever you want.
I know. That's the only time he's ever done it. But we were like, no, it is Queens of Stone Age. And at the time, I think we just cut one guitar and just did kind of the lesser complicated songs. No waste, no big solos in there, so it wasn't too empty and stuff. And I climbed up, and it was like a cool underground venue where the staircase went up, and it wasn't a massive place, but people were kind of all up watching, all up by the stairs. And at the very end, I was just hanging off and managed to fall over, land straight on my ass, just before the big large bit at the end. And luckily I managed to grab the mic in time. But Yeah, I'm clumsy on stage all the time.
But this is part of the act, right? I mean, I don't know whether you plan these things or not, but you know, you're clearly a band with unbelievable energy and enthusiasm, and that's the thing. You know, when people watch your YouTube or go see you live, it's just this bundle of energy, which is just, you know, no doubt that's how you get described all the time. And then I suppose maybe that this goes into you climbing up on things, and it's got to come out somehow, right?
Yeah, that's basically it. Like that's how I only express how I feel about the songs as I'm playing them, and that just makes me run about and everything. So, and if the songs make you feel like you want to run about, they might make someone else feel like they want to run about. And if you run about, then they might run about, and that's good. if they're moving to your music, that's what you want at the end of the day. You want a crowd that's lively and getting into it. So that's something I'm like thinking on.
It's like the old adage, isn't it? Like, you know, you play in front of 5 people as if you were in front of 500 people or 5,000 people. I mean, we've never played in front of 5,000 people, but you know, it's you put on that show because you could play in front of 100 people that aren't particularly keen on that music. But, you know, playing in front of them 5 people is just important because that could be 5 people in a pub. They're going to go home, tell to their mates, say how much for sick time they had. So it's, you know, just because the amount of people is less, you shouldn't put in any less of an effort. And that's the way we've always kind of seen it. And it helps having a very kind of grungy, angsty type of music behind us as well, that we can do that.
We should talk about your style, because when you sort of formed the band, was that quite a deliberate, this is the sound we want, and that's how you created the band and the different people? I mean, when you were sort of thinking about like who Bloodhound's going to be, is like, this is the sound, this is what we need to try and perfect?
Definitely a question for you, Joey, isn't it? this forming of the band and what you wanted to do.
No, it was weird. I mean, if you went the whole kind of chronology and the whole timeline, kind of shortened down to a certain degree, it was basically me and Jack Meaden, the lead guitarist. We basically went to school together, college together. Well, in fact, all 4 of us went to QMC in Basingstoke, apart from James.
Okay.
I knew James from gaming, funnily enough, from being in and Dota 2, if you know what that game is. And yeah, basically, we all went to college together, and me and Jack were in some hardcore bands before, and then we were just kind of fed up with playing the same kind of music all the time. And I love hardcore, I love metal. I'm wearing a Malev t-shirt, shout out Malevolence. But I think, yeah, we just wanted to make more music that we used to listen to as kids. So, you know, 90s grunge, 80s rock, 70s classic rock, and some like Black Sabbath, doomy stuff in there. So we love Cancer Bats as well. That was one of the first like hardcore bands that we both used to enjoy. So all them kind of influences, the hardcore influences, but wanting to write the music we used to listen to as kids, which is, you know, as I said, all of them genres plus grunge and kind of early 2000s alternative music. We just wanted to write the music we wanted to listen to, really. We were originally called Hounds because we were in a pub in Whitchurch, and we were just talking about, we literally just had one practice, and we were we wrote Hounds, which you might have heard is on Spotify.
Yeah.
Did a music video for it. So that was the very first song we wrote, and we named that Hounds because, you know, the band was called Hounds, the song was called Hounds. We're like, yeah, fuck it, why not?
That was what I was going to ask, is just how did you get to the name? It's a great name. So how did you get there? What was the journey? Was it just, you know, you sat in a pub and that's what we should be, or is there something more? I mean, how do you name something like this?
It was. I remember having the conversation. We were very drunk, but
they're normally the best ones.
Yeah, we had this thing where, because obviously me and Jack, we hadn't seen each other for months and months. We're like, well, let's go to the studio, practice, and we can, you know, see each other again, because we hadn't really been seeing each other that much apart from down the pub. So we wrote that song, came back, and we're having the chat in the pub while drinking whiskey of some kind, and yeah, we're trying to think of something that's kind of, I mean, you've heard Hounds, trying to show that kind of aggression, angst, grunginess, that, I don't know, tooth and claw type feel, but also with a certain aspect of charm as well. Everyone likes dogs, but dogs can be quite, you know, visceral at times, quite vicious. So, I mean, I'm a very big dog lover, but yeah, I mean, that's the best way I describe the naming of Hounds.
I feel like there's a joke in
just
there
narrowed
somewhere.
down. This is just narrowed down to Joe.
I like dogs, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. I mean, I like cats. But, and I like dogs equally. I don't want anyone to be upset.
Yeah, I should have called ourselves the felines, the blood felines, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, no, that's basically how Hounds came about. And then, yeah, great joke. But then we released the video as Hounds, and then I think we just found so many other bands called Hounds. And we're like, wow, I mean, what did we expect? It's such a popular word. So we're like, okay, we want to do something which is slightly more unique. I was looking at variations, but variations that we'd like as well. I mean, there are a couple of different options thrown about. You threw in loads in the box, James. And Bloodhounds is just the one that we kind of pulled out, and we're like, it's just adding a word in front. You know, it's still the same band. We had a following at the time. It wasn't a massive following because we were still, you know, very early on. But yeah, so we wanted people to still kind of recognize us. We thought, let's just put blood in front. If anything, it sounds a bit metal or a bit hardcore. But again, we got hardcore influences. So yeah, that's basically how we came to Bloodhounds in the end.
And how did it all start? So, like, were you in different bands before, or is this the first? I mean, what's the history of the different members?
Oh, me and Jack were in a band called Caesar's Way and Crown and Crooked Tongues for a bit as well. They're all very kind of niche grassroots hardcore type bands in South Coast area. So we had that. Tom and Mike went to QMC and did music as well. So they're all in the same music as Jack, because they all did like this extended diploma. I did a smaller one because I did some other subjects as well. But yeah, we all met at college, and then me and Jack basically were, after we were practicing, we were thinking, because he was on drums, he's lead guitar now, but he was playing drums, and I was playing guitar and singing, or singing more, shouting. And I've got the recordings. It honestly, you couldn't call it singing. But yeah, and then we basically added, we were thinking, who would we have as members of the band? And we were thinking, all right, well, from college, the best drummers were Mike and a guy called Danny. And we were kind of weighing up the pros and cons. And I'm not even joking, about a week after, Mike put a Facebook status up being like, oh, I've really missed being in the band with people, just want to play some music again. And Tom commented on it, just being like, oh yeah, me too as well, man. I just took a screenshot of that, sent it to Jack. I was like, this is our time, we can do it now. It's written in the stars. So we, so we dived at it and made a group chat, got some practices going. James, I knew, as I said, from gaming, but also he was in a band called As Lands Collapse back in the day.
Old metalcore band in Andover, yeah.
Yeah, and they played a lot with the Caesar's Way and stuff, so I knew he could play guitar, and obviously I spoke to him a lot like this when we were playing games and stuff, and we'd always talk about music. We'd be on Discord literally talking for hours, just playing Rocket League and like queuing up loads of
songs and stuff. Yeah.
I love. But yeah, and we basically just, I think, what did I say to you? I was like, oh, James, you want to be in a band? Oh no, I sent him Trapped and Hounds before they were released.
Because you performed it at was it Ox Jam in Reading? You were playing in a bar in Reading, and you sent me the recordings of you playing live, and I was like, this is tight. And there was a bit in Trapped that sounded a little bit empty, and I was like, why don't you just stick a solo in there? Like I was like, I can hear a shreddy solo in that section. That would be great if you put a solo in there. And then I think you went back to the guys and it sounded good.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to listen to it on Spotify or iTunes, the solo's still there.
Did you hear the shreddy solo?
Yeah, it hasn't gone.
It hasn't gone, yeah. And I think you were like, I think that sort of planted the seed of like, oh, this guy might know what he's...
yeah, because he's actually constructive.
Yeah,
he's not just like, oh yeah, that's cool, man. He's actually like, yeah, but this ain't too good. You could change that. And I think, I'm literally like, it's like an army of angels is descending upon me right now. The sun's coming out. But yeah, I was like, there's too many people, I think, just yes men and prop you up, but you need some people just to bring you back down. And that's where we're really good. You asked about the writing process earlier, and all five of us get in a room. One person will come up with the original riff, but we're all just, play and jam and vibe off each other, and everyone will have their say, which I think is important.
And is that process just you literally just there? You're hanging out, you know. 'Cause people always think about, God, how do you create these songs? Because they're brilliant, right? But then how does you just sit there, you jam, or is it like a right? Guys, we've got to really get on with it now and get some stuff down. I think for someone who's not musically trained like I am, you know, just to go, God, the outcome of that was brilliant.
That's really weird. I mean, I always say this: we never get like that first listen feeling, which is why I think it's so nice, in a weird way, watching other people. It's probably why reaction videos are so popular, because you know, it's just, especially when you've seen the progression of the song from the very first bass riff to, you know, the finished product. You've heard all the different mixes, all the amendments, like you know, notes back from the producer and stuff. Like we've got Adam Cox from Scolds and Diabolus, who's an absolute legendary producer. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's great,
and he does it all from his bedroom. Obviously, he's just so talented. But you know, hearing all the mixes back from him and stuff, you I don't know, it feels like an old song by the time it's come out. It feels like you've heard it a million times, because you have. So yes, it's nice hearing that. But so I've just gone off on a tangent. What was the
no, it's just the process. And then as you go through, and then do you end up then recording far more, or do you think actually, oh, that's not quite working, I'll change it or go to this song, or actually you end up writing bits of songs, but actually that piece, that riff will go really well in that song? So it's just like, because you can't just sit there and record an album or just a single. Like you must be like all jamming and go, that bit sounds good, keep going.
Our writing process is kind of very much divorced from the recording process. We don't have the writing process and the recording process at the same time. It will be us in a room, and we'll throw around ideas all the time, and then go, oh, how about this bit? We put this bit here. Oh yeah, that sounds cool. What about if we put a gap here and then come back in with this main riff? And we're all just like, pretty much just like enthusiastically sort of shouting at each other to do bits, and as we're in a room and all getting like proper excited and into it.
We need to live stream one of our practices. They're absolutely jokes.
I think you should. I think people would love that. I'd love to see that. I think just seeing what that creative process looks like, I think would, one, brilliant to watch, but also inspire other people if that's how you guys put it together.
Yeah, I mean, we should.
Yeah, we should definitely. Yeah.
It's been me jumping around the room shouting at people on the microphone, being like, "Do that!" Just like, "Go, Tom!" It's like, "Do a riff here." It's like channeling my inner Jack Black or something. But yeah, like, it's a process. I mean, like Imminent Funk, James. But again, like we have different ways of doing it. We got that standard way, which James was talking about, and then we've got, like, we were hanging out at mine one time, and James was like, "Oh, I'll put my phone on the speaker. What do you think of this?" I just played Imminent Funk, and it was like written. He went to Adam's, did a pre-pro, so he wrote the song, went there, just recorded like a demo version, so we could show all of us, which is basically what we're kind of more doing now as we're starting to kind of meet the 21st century head on. But yeah, he just had it as a finished product. Basically, I think it only changed once when we took it to the guys.
Yeah, but the guys were like, stop dwelling on that bit. That bit's going on for way too long, and it just made the song infinitely better. So it's definitely all of us like chipping in with ideas, because there was a bit where it dwelled on a bit too, and it was a little bit too fiddly, like, and it was just didn't add anything, and it was just unnecessarily complicated.
Exactly that.
They were like, nah, cut that out, go back to this, make it simple, and it's like just made the song infinitely better. And that was the second version that then went to recording. So
it boils down.
Imminent Funk is an incredible track. It's just so it's just like when you're getting through. I mean, you said it's only had a couple of iterations of change. So do you just know straight away, like, oh, this is it. We've got this one right.
It's weird. It's we'll play a riff, and 9 out of the 10 riffs that you play in the company of anyone else in the band, like sometimes I'll just be chilling at Joe's and I'll pick up an acoustic guitar and just play a riff. 9 times out of 10, no one will like pay any attention to the riff, because it's just another riff. It's like a mayonnaise riff. It's just sort of there, and it's just
like
whatever.
A copy pasta riff.
Yeah.
Mayonnaise riff.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'd call them, like a riff that's just
like,
sort of...
You've listened to Tool for 30 minutes and you pick up a guitar and drop D. You're like, oh, okay, I got this. You know, just like, one of them.
Yeah. Just like... It's like just a gelatinous substance that doesn't have anything to it, really. No real taste. Just like, it's just there. Just like,
which way are you going with this?
Yeah, true.
That track has got a very, when I heard it, I was thinking, you're very mature for being, I would say, a newish band, a couple of years in.
Yeah. Before COVID, about two and a bit. Yeah.
It's a very mature sound. I mean, if you heard that on the radio or you heard that at a gig, you're just like, it's polished. It's already polished. Like,
thanks,
it's just, it's great. I mean, and it's just, I suppose now it's just about how getting more people to hear it, because no doubt that sort of track can go a long way.
That's literally, I mean, our mindset for the album was, because we saw it as we did the first EP, we were going to do a second EP, and then we just thought, why do a second EP? We've got loads of songs written that aren't on the second EP. Why don't we just do an album? So we wanted the album to be an album of singles where you could pick one out and that could be the single of that album. And yeah, I think with Imminent Funk, it's just, I mean, you wrote it and as you showed it to us, I think it was me, Adam, that were there, Jack as well, and my Mrs. Jazz, and we basically just heard it, and I listened to it in the car for a couple of days on the way to and from work, and I had lyrics within a week. Like when a song is of a certain quality, I feel like the melodies write themselves for it, because there's certain, you hear the chord and there's certain harmonies your brain just naturally picks out with the chords that you think, oh, it would be nice if a vocal melody went, drifted off or along that chord or something. But and with Imminent Funk, it was like that. It just kind of wrote itself. And for the album, it's more a case of, as you said, we believe in the music, we believe in the songs. I can't wait to get it out and just show people. It's just trying to get it out to as many people as possible, which is obviously the hard thing nowadays.
And what's that? So I mean, I was thinking a lot about this, because I think am I right in saying you've gone the independent route? So therefore, that means you publish on Spotify or wherever, and you self-promote in some respects. I think is that the process. And obviously, years ago, it's really hard to get released, right? So, so what's that been like? Because what we need now is the world to hear your music as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
We're planning on working with some freelance sort of marketers mainly. There's a guy called Ash Cook who does a lot of social media marketing, that's done some social media marketing for Adam Cox's band Scolds as well. So we're looking
to run Radar Festival.
Yes.
Which is a great festival. Awesome.
Yes, it is. Yeah, he runs Radar Festival in Guildford. Is it in Guildford or is it in Reading?
I'm pretty sure it's Guildford.
Pretty sure it's Guildford. I think it's in Guildford. Yeah, it's a great festival, but many great bands have played there. So we're looking at sort of going down that route of giving people that we trust our music to push out, instead of, because you just hear so many horror stories of some people things that money. Some labels do, or people just taking money and running away from it. Like labels would sometimes just take a scattershot approach where they just go, not really caring about the end quality of the product, but they're just seeing what will be popular after they throw money at it. And then then they'll have 35 projects fail, but that one project, they'll then go, oh, okay, great. I've got my one project out of the 36 that I've scattershotted out there. Whereas we want people that are fully invested in our project from the get-go. And it seems like we're gradually, slowly but surely, building up a team around us that are actually that are invested in us personally and as a project, which is just a great feeling. We're like blessed to have that. It does feel like a family that's coming together to push it. So I feel pretty blessed that that's happening.
We often say Adam Cox is the 6th member of Bloodhounds.
Yeah, our producer.
He filled in for a show.
He has done, yeah. He has done. We've recorded with him so much that he just sort of knows the riffs and was like, yeah, I can play that on bass. And our bassist couldn't make a show, and he was just like, I'll do it.
Yeah, okay. It's for like a family reason, and he was, I'd like, give me a day to learn it, and then a day's like a day at the studio or something with us just to run it through, and he was ace, he smashed it. What gig was that again?
That was the one that you fell over
Was it?
It was the one in Basingstoke College. Yeah, QMC.
That was one of the times when I fell over. That was when I fell out off the back of the stage, not the front.
Oh,
Get it right, all right?
How can you fall off the back of a stage?
I nearly Jordan, one of our mates, Jordan, who's also an amazing photographer. Jordan, I don't know what his Instagram is actually. We'll find it in a bit. But yeah, he's
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, he was taking pictures of us from backstage, and it was at the very end of Pit of Snakes. And I just kind of, as I was screaming out, I went back, tripped over a mic stand, which made me stumble into a lead, which made me stumble into another mic stand. I was just stumbling off the stage, and the stage, I don't know, it wasn't a massive one, but it's still like 4.5 foot off the floor. So I just toppled back onto him, and then you must have a picture somewhere of me just falling on him. But yeah, that was.
Is this mid song as well? So effectively, there's no. So you're there with a mic, you can't talk. There's no. If I'm in the audience, I'm going, is he drunk? He's just fallen off the stage, and the sound is gone.
Everyone carried on playing.
You're just playing. You're playing, and like, okay, there really should be some lyrics here.
I ran back on and grabbed the mic, grabbed the wrong mic that wasn't plugged in, and I was like, shit, chuck that away, grabbed the one that was working, and then managed to do the last line. But it was a push.
There were some people in the crowd that asked us if that was deliberate after the thing, because you saved it so well, because you did it right at the end of Pit of Snakes. It was Pit of Snakes again. You just always seems to happen at the end of Pit of Snakes. That song has just got you tripping over all over the place.
It's just the ending.
Yeah, well, there's like a big break in vocals until they come back in a big dramatic way. So there's just, the big break's just happened. He's walked away from the mic because he knows he's got some time. He's tripped off the stage, off the back of the stage, then ran back on just in time to to nail the final vocal line. It's like,
that was a song where I fell off the stairs as well in London. Same song. Same bit of the song as well. I know on the album there's a song called 1909. I think it's the first time we've actually said a track of one of the songs.
That's true.
But that's got a bit in which I just can't wait to get it out and show. But it's really annoying because I know we've got a set plan. We don't want to rush it, but I'm so impatient as an individual. I'm so glad it's not my decision. It's a band decision, and management and stuff. Like, otherwise I would just be like, oh God, just hear it. It's just listen to it all, and it would just take all
the hype
out of it, all the hype out of it. But yeah, no, 1909's got a bit like that, and I just can't wait to play it all live. When we write a song, as you going back to the writing process, that's also something we do kind of pay a lot of attention to. We're writing the song, but also thinking how it's going to be live. I think too many people write songs just for listening purposes. Obviously, that's what music's for. You listen to it and you enjoy it. Everyone listens and soaks up music in their own way. But for us, the live element is one of the most crucial and important elements. Which again kind of makes lockdown that much harder because that realization that going forward live shows aren't necessarily going to be exactly the same. I mean, you never know. Hopefully COVID might go away tomorrow. If God might intervene.
But yeah, so it sort of goes back to the writing process question, where you have like it's lockdown has made it really difficult because you never really you can't. I find it very difficult to filter out what is a good riff and what is not a good riff on my own. It's again, I'll be playing it in front of someone else, and if it's a mayonnaise riff, I can sort of tell by their reaction. They've just gone, yeah, whatever, that hasn't grabbed me. But it was the Imminent Funk intro. I was playing it in front of Adam, again, 6th member of Bloodhounds. I was playing it in front of Adam, and he went, when you come into pre put that down, when you come into like do that as a demo. And I was like, why? He was like, because that's like the catchiest riff, that riff is so catchy, why would we not put that down? So it was sort of, I definitely bounced off other people for knowing what riffs are good and what and what aren't. It's very, I can't do it on my own. It's like, it's almost impossible to do it on your own, I think.
And you tend to find as well, I think, like if you're on your own and you don't have someone to filter out the bad stuff and tell you something isn't as good, you can spend waste loads of time just going down that bad idea. Which it's like with 1909 off the new album, Jack wrote that riff and literally just came into the studio, started playing it. We all kind of turned and was like, oh damn, carry on playing that. And then I was like, Mike, play something on drums, and we just did it and kind of made half of it then and there. And same with Pit of Snakes. You know, it's I started playing the bass riff, and we all just started joining in, and then we literally left that day with vocals and a whole song done. Like Pit of Snakes was literally written in one day, which is why when you're together, that process of songwriting is so much easier and purer, because it's bouncing off each other is so underrated. As James said, like if you're on your own, you know you need to kind of, I don't know, it can work both ways, because you've got to rein it in a bit because you've only got yourself, but also, you know, you don't want to doubt yourself too much because you also want to believe in certain ideas. So there's lots of messages going between me and James with, oh, how's this riff? Is this riff cool? Nah, it's a bit rubbish, mate, a bit mayonnaise.
But yeah, on Pit of Snakes, so if I'm looking on Spotify, it's had probably double the number of listens. So it's over 10,000 listens, and Hounds, Imminent Funk are probably just shy of half that was obviously mixed. But why do you think that one in particular has hit it's got so much great feedback and people listening more and more and more again? What's different about that track?
It might be to do with the music video, which is basically just us messing around in the woods in night costumes and stuff. Maybe people associate that with the song, and they've gone from that. But it's hard to say, really. Like
you never know what's gonna get the reaction.
No,
I guess it's difficult to know.
That's very true. Like, you can be into analytics all you want and looking at various different trends and everything in the industry and whatnot, and I'm sure people have careers in that sort of thing, but that's quite beyond my sort of capabilities to be able to have my finger on the pulse that much.
I think that would stifle you creatively, thinking, oh well, that song made it, maybe we just need to do a variation of it. And I think actually it's probably better you just do what feels natural and what feels right to you, because then some will hit, some won't. But I guess that's the game in some respects.
I think my sort of feeling on most things in life is, if you're doing stuff for an entertainment purpose, no one wants to watch someone do a job. Like, that's just watching someone work. And if you feel like it's a job, then it's going to come off that you're doing a job and you're doing work, as opposed to doing something that you enjoy and is entertaining. People will feed off the fact that you're enjoying what you're doing. So if we ended up saying, oh right, Pit of Snakes took off, let's try and pigeonhole ourselves into making all of our songs sound like Pit of Snakes, or have the same sort of structure and same sort of like heavy sort of driving rhythms and whatnot, then it would end up not liking it, because it becomes work at that point. It doesn't become what us enjoying expressing ourselves musically.
I also feel as well, like, it's touched on that point as well. Like, if you're writing something or pigeonholing yourself to suit a certain audience or to tailor that audience know what they're getting, because they're vocalizing what they want and you're supplying it for them. Whereas especially with Bloodhounds, I feel like a lot of our songs are a bit different to, structurally and sound wise, to a lot of the music that's out there. So a lot of it is kind of like a shock factor. Not that we're trying on purpose to shock people, but we're writing the songs that we like, and that necessarily isn't what people are expecting. So they hear it, and if you're not expecting something and you like it, it's going to be infinitely better than if you are expecting it and you like it. So I think that's probably got a slight part of it as well, which is why we, again, don't try and pigeonhole ourselves. I mean, on the album we've got some long, slow, clean ballads with some of the fastest, heaviest stuff that we've written so far. So it's going to be interesting how people take it, and if they like it or not, and which songs they like more. But again, it's more just, this is our debut album, this is us, take it or leave it, and hopefully people take it.
Yeah.
And then does that get released then to Spotify? It's CDs. How then do you get it out amongst the domain so people can hear the great music you're writing?
So up until now, there's some really good distributors that you can go to if you're an independent artist. So like CD Baby, DistroKid. We use DistroKid. They got some really good features. They kind of help you upload to. They're basically the middleman between you and obviously all the stores that are going to be putting out your music. But for the album, we are moving to AWOW, which that is one thing we were looking for, kind of a different distribution companies to be working with. So we're going to be working with AWOW. Again, both awesome companies. There's pros and cons to both, of course. but yeah, I mean, anyone, it's great nowadays, especially with kind of modern technology and well, no, it's kind of like a double-sided blade in a way, because anyone can get their music onto Spotify, but then again, it kind of, it backfires for the artists in a way as well. It could have oversaturates the market. But again, you know, it's given a lot of people that didn't necessarily have the accessibility of studios and big distribution companies. They can now just record something on their laptop in their bedroom and get it out there, which is awesome. It kind of separates that gap of people who have money and succeed in music and people who don't have money and can't, because unfortunately, just like all industries, music kind of falls into that as well to a certain degree.
And so will it still be out there as a physical CD? Because I know obviously the music industry has changed so much over the last 5-10 years. So much is now digital, so much is online. But of course, are people buying CDs? I mean, that you always then have that aging technology challenge. I don't even think my car has a CD player. It might, I don't know, I can't remember, because I listen to podcasts and everything else that's just on my phone. But is that still the approach that you would use? And then you would get it across into sort of record shops and independent stores?
So CDs aren't really selling these days. No one buys CDs because it's sort of, you know, you're not gaining anything over streaming by buying a CD. You're just getting a very small bit of artwork in that case, and that's pretty much it.
That's it.
Whereas
I think people really struggle with the physical aspect of it. I think I've got rid of all of my CDs now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, vinyls overtook CD sales a couple of years back and have done every year since. I feel like the nostalgic. Well, it might go in circles, because in 10 years' time, CDs might become popular again because they'll have that nostalgic purpose, and you know, happening with tapes. It's happening with vinyls. We are actually looking at doing some vinyls for the album. So
it is cool. I mean, I do some DJing, so I buy vinyl still, and but it's for that reason, because it's authentic, and it's, you know, it's just a different way of listening to music. But it just, you know, for the person playing or listening or whatever, I think that has that nostalgic feel about it, because in the world that has gone so digital, that's still the true art form of mixing and playing on vinyl.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm looking right now at a Soundgarden vinyl. We're just like listening to some of the classic music, how it's supposed to be listened to, or back then anyway. There's just certain niceness to it which you can't replicate. Obviously, they have to be mixed and mastered differently for a vinyl, which again involves it can make things a bit more expensive. And again, it goes back to that thing, a lot of bands don't like doing CDs because it's expensive putting a CD out for something which is probably lesser of a quality than actually downloading it. And you know, the fact that, I mean, people don't really buy them anymore, so what's the point? Vinyls are expensive, but you know, people spend a fair amount of money on them, so you can warrant it. Obviously, best way to support bands is by buying merch and stuff, t-shirts. Going back to the whole Spotify thing, the fact that, you know, artists get 0.006 pence per play or something like that.
I wish it was 0.06 pence.
Yeah.
0.0000 and then a couple more zeros and then 6 at the end of that.
Lots of zeros on there.
Yeah. So you're getting fractions of pennies per play. And buying a shirt vinyls for £15 off of a you know, off of a local band is the equivalent to giving them like 15,000 streams almost.
More than that.
Probably more than that. Probably a couple of hundred.
Really? Wow.
It's like 600,000 streams.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
It's some ridiculous number of streams just by buying a t-shirt, just by supporting, and then you get a bit of clothing out of it anyway. You know, so it's like it's pretty crazy. It definitely. Putting your music out on a streaming service is sort of like, it's the concept of having a lost leader, where you sort of put yourself out so that people can access you, and then you have other ways to make money on the side.
I'll listen to you on Spotify or wherever, and then people can come to your gigs once that's all back up and running. You've got to have a sort of an infinite view around sort of the longevity of it all progressing. I think no one can make any money or make that much progression quickly in these industries, right? It's a long-term play.
Yes, streaming's like the uncomfortable middle house between piracy and buying the CDs outright, because as the internet grew, there was that massive thing with Napster and Metallica and everything, and they were they're suing Napster for people downloading their stuff illegally. But there was no way to stop people from doing that. You can't police the internet in that way. As much as governments will try and tell you that they can't. It's very, very difficult to do, if not impossible, because people are always going to find a way to do illegal things on the internet. So Spotify created this platform which gives some very little compensation to artists when people are listening to their music, and it does count towards stats that you can then send off to charts and everything. So but it's not ideal, but it's sort of like it's as a result of the whole piracy thing in my mind. That's how I see it.
I think I'm getting the feeling it's a necessary evil.
Yeah, it is.
Best way to describe it, I'd say, necessary evil, because it's. We needed to get our music out there.
Maybe that's the name for your next track.
Yeah. Oh, necessary evil. I like that.
But then again, I use Spotify all the time, and I've discovered so many bands that I've then gone to gigs through Spotify. It's like one of my main pastimes is just listening to things on Spotify. So I'm the same. I'm like guilty of just listening to countless tracks, but then I do go to gigs and support these bands. But
one thing I will say is obviously for the album, we are actually going to be releasing a website as well. We can't say the domain and stuff now, but I mean, they'll have all the music up on there, so you can, instead of going through Spotify or YouTube or Apple Music, you can just buy it directly if you want. Again, I mean, it's always there to go listen to on Spotify if you want to, because we're not going to stop people from listening to our music. That would be, counterintuitive. We want as many people as possible to listen to our music, but we're just putting the option there. If someone does want to actually buy it and help, then they can go on the website. I think we might also pop it up in Bandcamp as well for people to do the same. So we're going to have them options. So it's not just going to be on Spotify and Apple as well.
So that means people can go to your website, they can download it digitally, and then they can still listen to it through their mobile or wherever, but they have.
Yeah, exactly. Just download it. Just like on Spotify, if you click download, it downloads it to your actual device. It would take up exactly the same amount of space. Probably actually get it slightly better quality than Spotify quality.
Yeah, as a token of our appreciation for you to actually support us directly, we will be offering like various different formats, like lossless formats and like uncompressed WAVs and stuff like that. If you're really truly wanting to listen to the very, very best quality that you can, you won't get the compressed version from Spotify. You'll get the fresh out of the like audio workstation, fresh out the studio sound. So that's something that we will be offering. But yeah, that'd just be say, thanks for supporting us. Have the best quality possible to listen to our music. Also tell your friends, thanks.
And no doubt there's many people waiting, with a lot of anticipation of when this is going to drop. So like, what's your timeline? Is it all complete now, or is there still bits that you're working on? Where are you in that journey?
Oh, this is the most annoying thing that has happened to us in a long time, because we've literally just got bass guitar left to put down on most.
Not even all of the bass, like a number of tracks.
Yeah.
But the way that we write, we don't just know the song and then go and record it in the studio. We learn the song, write the song, then record pre-pro, which we then use to record the real song. So we've already got a version of the album recorded. It's just a demo version, basically, which, to be fair, I'd be quite interested in releasing in the future. As like a cool extra, that might be quite nice. But yeah, so we've already got the whole album recorded, basically, with bass, but we do it properly then finally, just to get it down as we want it. So we've done everything twice, basically, apart from bass, the very last bit on bass. As I said, the videos were booked just for the first week that lockdown was announced, but we've got them booked again, so that's happening soon. We are looking for early October at the moment, so that's what we're pushing for. But again, that'll be the album release, and there'll be a couple singles before then, so eyes peeled, and there should be singles coming out the woodwork relatively soon. What we will do is, when the when the website's up, there's going to be a like a blog section as well. Not really a blog section, but it's basically where, you know, people can comment and interact with each other, interact with us as well. So it's more kind of direct instead of on Spotify. You don't really know who's answering it. So, not on Spotify, rather on Facebook and stuff like that, or via email. You don't really know who you're talking to. So it's something a bit more personal, where, you know, fans can interact with each other as well. Talk about the album, X-Man, I don't know whatever they're talking about. But yeah, just different ways that we can engage with people, really. We're, as I said earlier, we're very much a live band, so engagement is something we very much thrive on. You know, just having that moment with people watching where they're enjoying it, you're enjoying them, enjoying it, and you're just having this awesome connection. And not being able to do that is pretty shit. So yeah, it's little ways we can reintroduce that, really. So yeah, I mean, we'll be releasing or putting the website up a decent amount of time before the singles come out, so there'll be enough warning, definitely.
You should definitely I can't wait, it's gonna be great. I think we should talk about some of the videos you've made, because that's one of the things that, along with the music sounding the way it does and really energetic and fierce and everything else, which is great, but then I was amazed to discover these brilliant videos. and it's not often you can, because there's also a part of humor that goes with it. It's just, it's like you've got this full package here. Like, you should talk me through, which was the first video that you made?
Hounds.
That was Hounds, yeah.
Was it Hounds? Okay.
Tom wasn't actually in that one. That was, so, I mean, yeah, that was another story altogether. We were basically, the reason James is in the band, we didn't actually mention this, the reason James is in the band, this all ties in, is we were a 4-piece, and we're always going to be a 4-piece, as me, Mike, Tom and Jack.
Of course, yeah, I didn't realise, yes, there's 4 of you in that one.
Yeah, so we don't really mention it and stuff on the videos, but basically Tom went away to work in France in like a ski resort and a chalet for 6 months. Well, what was supposed to be 6 months. So we basically, the plan was, I was like, oh, you know, James really likes music. He's really constructive as well. He'd be like a good person to have in the band. He can come play bass. He came along to practice, bought his guitar, not the bass, and I was like, oh, okay, and he's playing guitar, and then he was like, okay, I'm a guitarist, not a bassist. So I was like, okay, I'll play bass then, fuck it. So he went on guitar, I got pushed onto bass, so we were 4-piece, and then Tom got fired. He got fired from a job for being too drunk at a job where everyone is drunk all the time, which I don't know how it happened, but yeah, he was supposed to come back. And then, because originally he was going to come back after 6 months. James was going to leave, and you know, we were going to be a 4-piece. But looking back, that was quite, you know, cutthroat and ruthless. I know they had let you go like that.
Just to clarify, that job that Tom was drunk at, it was a ski resort like bartending thing that a load of students were on. He wasn't like out doing some accounting or something, getting drunk. He was doing some like holiday resort type stuff where everyone was, it's like part of the job was partying, but he still managed to party too hard.
He'd send a picture every 2 days of him with a black eye, like a new black eye. It's like, the other 2 haven't healed yet. Have you got another black eye?
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, he came back, and then we were just like, well, why don't we have 3 guitars? Why don't we do like a Foo Fighters or something? Have Tom come back on bass, keep James on guitar, because by that time he cemented himself in the band. Everyone liked him. He was the first member that everyone didn't know, apart from me. No one knew him, so I didn't know how everyone was going to take. But yeah, everyone gelled instantly, and has ever since. Like we've just been like a kind of band of brothers, put it that way.
How does that change the sound? So going from the 4 to the 5-piece, does that give you that extra dimension in some respects, or do you think that's altered the sound in some kind of way on the journey?
Extra chonky, in 2 words.
Chonky, that's a good word.
Extra chonky. It gives Jack, who's an absolutely phenomenal guitar player, more chance to breathe, because he knows he's got a foundation behind him, which is me just playing the normal chords, the normal rhythms, everything, and he can go off and do lead stuff, which he's just a phenomenal improviser. He's like pretty much the best improviser at guitar that I know. He would just sit down, and it was like we had no solo written for the final track on our first EP, Wasting Away, and he sat down and nailed it in one take and was like, yeah, I just made that up on the spot. I'm going to have to remember how to play that live now, aren't I?
Yes, he did, while we were recording, literally.
While we were recording, I was like, you serious? He was like, yeah, I mean, I'd have to listen to that a few times to remember what I actually did there. And it was like perfect. It was a perfect solo.
Yeah.
So
and
how the hell have you managed that?
I know, I don't get that. But yeah, like, so basically we, Tom came back, we had the extra chonk. I could also, I mean, I think one way it benefited us as well, because we were going to have 3 guitars originally, but now obviously I don't play guitar, I just sing. I think that's only helped the stage performance as well and the sound, because I can concentrate on just singing, just my presence on stage, and not have to worry about guitar as well. So I'm quite a lazy person when I'm not on stage as well, so it means I don't have to lug gear as well, so that's always a bonus. But yeah, I mean, it's for the video, we didn't have Tom for the first video on Hounds, so I think it was just like you and me getting drunk and coming up with some stupid ideas, James, or something like that.
Well, I looking at it, I mean, I'm thinking there must be some in-jokes that go with this, which can only happen when you've been having a few drinks or whatever. Yeah. So what was the thinking behind it? I mean, visually, it's great to watch, right?
We just didn't take ourselves seriously, did we?
We were just like, why don't we just like all wear denim and look like George Michael for a video? And everyone was like, yeah, actually, that sounds hilarious. So we did. And that was pretty much the long and short of it. And then we kept up thinking of like other stupid things, like the boy band bit and like other little bits here and there. Like, why don't we dress up a sex doll as one of the guitarists and just throw that in there at some point? And just really stupid things like that. We just
cucumbers as drumsticks and
just absolute nonsense.
I think that ability to take the mick out of yourself as part of it, because they're you know, if we talk about Imminent Funk, you look like a rock band there. You look cool, right? You've got everything looks great, and but also then to have the other side where it can be humor. You can watch it and go, this is a great song, but actually you've got something about it, because it just adds that character of the band. Where you think, actually, you know what, they're not up themselves. They've got that. They've got a bit of both. Just build your character as a band. I think it's great to have had that.
Well, I think it's just. Yeah, you go.
I was just about to say, I think this is why Foo Fighters are one of the best bands in the world, because they do that all the time. It would be remiss for me not to say that we were looking at that and going, yeah, that's really cool that they can just do videos like Learn to Fly and then
be humble about it. Not take themselves too seriously. I think that's especially. Well, it's rare to see Americans. I mean, obviously, I've known lots of American people that are amazing, but British humour is very much, you know, self-deprecating. You deprecating.
Self-deprecating. Is it, Joe?
Yeah, no, it's like
we just found our Twitter clip.
Yeah. But it's it's all kind of self. I'm just going to avoid that word altogether now.
No, say it again.
Deprecating.
There we go.
Wow.
Victory. It's just taking your piss at yourself, and I think that's just a staple of British comedy. And you know, we're enjoying it. We're not one of these bands that's artificially put together and a label's gone, oh, you know, this is a really good guitarist from this old band, let's bring that person or this person. It was just, you know, we're mates in college and school. I've been mates with James for years, and it's like, oh, I've got a mate, let's bring him along. And we all just got the same sense of humour. And I think that just helps. Like with Hounds, it was just, we're a serious band, and we know we're a serious band. And if we believe in the music, people listening to it will know we're a serious band. So we can take a bit, you know, we can take the piss out of ourselves a bit. We can just have some fun with it. It's our first music video we're ever going to do. Let's not make it the same as every other, you know, serious video. Which, you know, the second one, Pit of Snakes, that we did, obviously that again is a jokey one. And then when Imminent Funk came along, we were, as you said, you know, we looked like a rock band. We kind of wanted to show people that hadn't, because live performance is so much of our band. We wanted people that can't come to our shows to see that as well. So we thought, let's just, you know, get a video of us, how we would perform live, as if there's an audience there. Which, again, why at the end we got Jordan just shouting and loving it at the end.
Yeah, just like
being the sole member of the audience.
Yeah, we wanted to like.
Which he has been.
Yeah, he has been in the past. Yeah, that is true. That is true. But yeah, we would just wanted to have at least some sort of stinger at the end to prove that we weren't like taking it overly serious. So we just had him at the end as the only person there going, "Yeah, do it again!" Woo! Yeah.
When we did the first video, when you said "do it again," that reminded me. When we did the first video, I mean, anyone who's recorded a music video will know it's literally just playing the song over and over and over and over again for like 9 hours. And we did that because obviously, yeah, you don't just get all the takes in one shot. You know, you got to do it over and over again. And
you had to hang on. You had to play for 9 hours the same song to get the video and the audio right.
Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
Yeah, man, it takes a while.
That's how me.
And this is for all of them. Yeah. Like each the ones you've done, or is that the way that you've gone? Actually, this is the best thing we need to do to perfect it.
We spent about 8 or so hours in the New Forest on one of the coldest days in November, wearing only like thin costume style
night outfits.
You can see in one of them my like face is going blue from being that hot because we were just exposed to the elements out in the middle of the forest in mud like and gale force winds for like 8 hours.
Oh man, yeah.
It's I mean, you love it because you love being out there and doing it and like just dicking around. But it's like it's not the easiest work, but then it is kind of easy because it's music stuff and it's fun and you enjoy it and you love what you enjoy. So
that was the funnest video though.
Yeah, it was.
That was the one for Imminent Funk and Hounds. We had to, because it was performance videos. Again with Imminent Funk, it was playing the same song for like 8-9 hours in a row, just to get all the different shots. Because you got to do like 4 times or 5 times as a band medium shot, 5 times as a band, panning or in slow motion and individual members, different angles and all of this. And so you got loads of different shots that you need to get. But for Pit of Snakes, it was just, we got together, got a ridiculous storyline together of a princess being stolen by a snake. Tom wasn't in the first video, so he played the snake. And so he's the one with the mask on. There's loads of funny scenes we didn't put in, but like things of him running away with a doll and knocking him against. Oh, that was it. He like he stole Adam, and we literally dressed the doll in all of Adam's clothes and had Tom like running away, like hitting the doll into trees and stuff as he was running. There's just so many good parts of that we didn't include. But yeah, it was just mates having fun in the forest again. The amount of like green smoke that I took to the face by the flare things that we bought. Whatever they were, smoke grenades, weren't they? Like paintball smoke grenades.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that was it.
That was the whole point of that video, was that Tom had the redemption arc, and we like changed him from being into a snake into being the bassist, and handed him the bass at the end. It's just stupid stuff like that. But I think back to what you were going to say originally, Joe, about the 9 hours for doing Hounds, is that we played this song consistently, one after the other for 9 hours straight, right? Playing this song. And then we had a gig that night, and the opening track was Hounds. That is the tightest that we've ever played that song in our lives, because we just spent 9 hours pretty much practicing it beforehand. It was like it was the most.
Why don't we do a music video before every gig? That'd be amazing.
Yeah. It's funny. It's just like we're playing it like, oh, this song again. I can't wait for this song to be over. We've just done this for 9 hours straight.
and then you've still got to put the same level of energy into each shot, because you're being recorded, you're being filmed.
Oh man,
I think that's a lesser known fact of how, when you're making these music videos, what goes into it from your side. I mean, I'm staggered. I've had to record it so many times.
Yeah, and like, it's all the same. I think like with Pit of Snakes, we didn't have to, obviously, because it was just like acting. Obviously we did the same takes a few times to get them right and stuff, but at least we weren't playing. Although there was a fight scene that we had to do over and over again. Originally, it was going to be like like an old style, like camera setups, and it was just like us fast forwarded, like beating each other up and stuff in the mud. But it obviously wasn't like that in the end. But yeah, we had to, pretend beat the shit out of each other for about an hour out of that in mud and bruising ourselves. I think I nearly killed Tom 3 times by falling on him on branches. Oh man, like I've still got a scar on my back, I'm pretty sure, of when I yeeted myself into the the bush
into a ditch, and there was a little tree stump just pointing out just enough to catch it. Yeah, I remember that.
Jordan just threw himself off like a 6-foot drop. On the bit on, if you watch Pit of Snakes, when we first see the lizard, or the snake, I should say snake really, and he hits Jordan off. That isn't like a stunt double or like a blanket. He literally is just throwing himself into the thicket. It's quite impressive.
And then with the new album, so I don't know how many songs will be on your album, but then will you have a music video that goes with each one? Because I mean that's a whole load of work in itself. Now I realise, if you've got 10, 12 songs, whatever it's going to be on, and then you've got all these days in the woods or in the studio, that's a lot of effort.
Well, we've got we're doing 3 music videos. Well, I say 3. We've got 11 tracks on the album. We whittled it down from about 14, but we kind of got the songs which were the songs where you could pick them out and there would be a single for the album. So there's no songs which are better than the others. In our opinion, they're all just us. And I think we're doing 3 videos as the singles. We have already recorded a video for one of the songs, but that's not going to be coming out until after the release. And then there might be a couple of lyric videos in there as well. So in total, there'll be about 5-6 videos, but by the time that the album's been out for a couple of months. But yeah, it's going to take a fair bit of effort. We're going to be doing 3 videos in 2 days soon, so it's going to be interesting.
How did we come to that in a sec? But how do you go from 15 to your just preferred number of what's going to be like? How do you say that one's not going to be in? And is that because it's more strategic in some respect to say, right, actually, we're going to put that into the next album that comes after, or we're going to release that as an EP? Or how do you as a band make that choice?
We've sort of got a very, we've got a sound of this album that we've got in our heads that we think what this album should sound like. And then we've got a few songs that were deviating a bit from, it's weird because the album itself is very diverse in the way that it's structured. We've got a whole range of things on there, but there were a few things that we were starting to do that wouldn't even fit into that sort of diverse lineup. So we were like, why don't we do that in another release later? Because it's a tweak on our sound. But it's not a major tweak, but it's far enough that it wouldn't fit in this body of work. It can be its own body of work over here later on.
We're already writing the second album.
Yeah, we are. We're already writing the second album as we're going along. Yeah.
That's the annoying thing. Like there's too many. So we're forgetting songs that we've kind of written partly with the band in the practice room before COVID, and obviously they're resurfaced again when we get back in the studio with the boys. We'll be able to start, carrying on writing them. But me and James are constantly writing songs at home as well, and there's so many avenues that I think we've when this album comes out, we'd have to send you a demo version of the album, so you can kind of listen to it and understand what I mean. But I think we're giving ourselves, we're just showing the world us. Like over the last 2.5 years, it's just been us evolving, and I feel like this is us. We found our sound, we found ourselves. And it's just kind of, this is our springboard. This is our base level. And I think there's numerous ways that we can go from that, which is cool because we're not pigeonholing ourselves. We're just writing what we want to write. And any band that we love, Foo Fighters, Alter Bridge, like some awesome metal bands. You go to a concert and all the songs aren't the same. Even Green Day, for example, they're a punk band, pop punk band kind of. Like you go to one of their concerts and they've got ballads. They've got really long ballads. They've got short, old, really punky songs. There's not a single band out there which I don't like, which doesn't have a lot of diversity. Queens of Stone Age, another one. I think that's one thing which we're very much keen on.
I think that's to be and continue to be relevant. It's about being diversifying in some respects, because if I think about some of my favorite Chili's albums, I think, all right, everyone loves By the Way, or everyone loves some of the slower stuff, right? And then they think, but also that then lends its hand to go, well, I love Californication, or I love, and so it gives you might find that one track that hits a note with some people, and then they start listening to the rest and go, oh, I really like this band because they feed my different emotions in my different times.
Yeah.
And I think that's the great thing about music, is that you don't want to sound the same on every track. You need to have a different approach, because you want to go, okay, I've just listened to that, and now I'm going to listen to it. You're going to take me on a different emotional journey, as well as just how it needs to sound.
It's all about, you hit the nail on the head there. Like, music is purely emotion driven. So I think showing that you're capable of more emotions as a human and as a band is never a bad thing. So I think, yeah, you just hit the nail on the head. It's if you want to stay current and relative, you don't pigeonhole yourself. And I'm not saying that, from a marketing standpoint. I just think if you're, but again, obviously on the flip side of that, you can, if someone's influences is purely from one genre, if someone wants to, make a punk band and their only influence is the Ramones, then sure as shit, the music's going to come out sounding a bit like the Ramones. So it's all down to your what you've been exposed to. But again, we've all got such diverse music backgrounds, what we like, whether it be metal, funk, classical music, all of it just melds together, and that's kind of us, I suppose.
That's also part of that creative process, is saying, right, us at the beginning 4 and now 5, we together make these different, creatively, we just allowed ourselves to go on this journey, and this is the outcome. And I think there's a lot of strength in that, because also as you grow, mature, change, you do gigs, over time, then your sound will mature and change, because of course it does. If I think about Oasis, my favorite album was one of the first, definitely maybe it's probably my favorite, but I still love some of the later stuff. Just the fact that that was the first album I listened to. I'm like, and then that's the one that resonated with me. But I still listen to everything else. So you've got to go on a journey, because of course your audience, your crowd are going to grow as well.
I think a big part of it is just constantly challenging yourself with listening to new music as well. That's something I've definitely been kind of exploring in the last year. All these different, I've kind of come back to metal in a way. I love classic rock. I grew up listening to bands like The Who, The Kinks, The Doors, Rolling Stones, Guns N' Roses, Motorhead, just name a few. AC/DC were typical Guitar Hero rock, as a kid of the generation where Xbox 360 first came out and Guitar Hero was so popular. I'd go around to Jack's house in the morning before school and we played Guitar Hero before school. That's literally, in a funny way, all of that music, because it's so diverse on guitar, that's probably did so much for this generation of musicians. But bands like Pearl Jam and all of that, it's just keeping it diverse, and the more diverse you keep it, the more options you give yourself, because you might listen to a punk song and then suddenly out of nowhere, Barbara O'Reilly pops to your back of your head, and you suddenly think of all these other weird things that you might be able to add on to this song. And that's, in my opinion, where new genres are kind of made, or subgenres are made. So I very much feel like there's few bands kind of doing the same kind of sound that we're doing. But I mean, the bands that are absolutely phenomenal. We played with a couple, but again, that's purely by coincidence. And no band's the same. There's different traits that we have and they don't have, and they have that we don't have. But if all bands were the same, that'd be boring, wouldn't it? So I think there's really promising music scene happening at the moment, which, why again, it's so frustrating with COVID happening at this time. But it'll come back, and there's some amazing bands coming through the woodwork. I just can't wait.
What gigs were you, before this happened, what gigs were you doing? Obviously, I know you from Basingstoke Live. I think you said you played twice. I saw you once. So I think that's what I saw you first. But then, of course, what other sort of gigs were you doing prior?
Oh, I mean, anywhere and everywhere. We were in 2018, the first kind of full year that we were a band. It was like that kid in a candy shop type feeling. So because the bands we'd been in before, we were always the younger band that couldn't stay around after, because it was 18 plus venues and we were 16, 17, so we had to play and then go home after.
That's hilarious. It's amazing, because you think rock and roll, they're going to be out all night now, and there's going to be women and there's everything else that's going with it, and then you're like, no, I'm going home because I'm not
I know, but it's weird because you wanted to stay out, but it's 18 plus venues and stuff, and we used to go home. So
do you have to get a special license or something to play, or like your parents have to be there with you or something? Say it's allowed out, I promise.
Literally, it was like they booked the band, and then it would just be kind of you're treated as a member of the audience afterwards. If you're not kind of 18, they just ask for ID because you're in a pub, and if you're kind of or a venue, and obviously there's alcohol being sold and stuff. So yeah, they pretty much send you out the door once you played and packed up all the gear, and then put it in your mum's car, and off you go back home. That was the experience of playing lots. Because I mean, we were playing gigs from 14. We've been doing this for about kind of 10 years. So I've dated myself like you did in past ones, James. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we actually literally have been doing it for 10 years. So the first year that we started doing gigs as Bloodhounds, we were all adults. We're playing these gigs, so we're just taking any gig we possibly could. So promoters from anywhere and everywhere were chucking gigs at us. Whether it be opening slot for a folk band or something, or an actual decent sized metal or hard rock show. We just take anything and everything. We were playing 3-4 weekend shows a weekend sometimes, 2 in one day. We played this weird biker festival where it hailed and it was all cooled off, and I was like keeping down the gazebo while we're playing because the wind was trying to take it off, and there was I think 3 people in the audience sat down because everyone had just gone inside. There's been some weird shows in that year, but luckily we're at a point now where we've again evolved a bit. We can say no to certain shows and just use our time doing other things behind the scenes, getting ready for other stuff. This year we've recently, last year we said we were going to play more on the South Coast, so we started to do a lot of gigs in Southampton, Portsmouth, Bournemouth. We've been cracking. Not Portsmouth, I said Portsmouth, Southampton and Bournemouth rather. And then this year it's been, Bristol. Before COVID happened, we played Bristol 3 times in 2 months by, again, all kind of last minute gigs that were done. But, one was, it was packed out, wasn't it, James? It was sold out. It was a sold out. 500 people there. And it's amazing. It really was. We've been saying it from the beginning that even, as I said earlier, even if there's 5 people, just play as if you would 500. And when we did actually play in front of 500 and like at festival shows in previous years, we played in front of similar crowds, and it makes it so much easier when you're used to putting in that much effort. And when you've got a crowd as well, and they're in numbers, they don't feel shy enough to not, clap and woo and whistle and all of that. It's like kind of mob mentality, isn't it? They'll all do what the people next to them do. So you get a much better reception, which means much better atmosphere, much better gig. And oh man, it's just, very much missing shows at the moment. But
God, I can only imagine, when you're out there and you want to be playing, especially with all the material you've now got. Is there a crowd or a group? You mentioned playing in the South quite a lot. Is there particular either festivals or places that you play where you think that's always a great crowd and they always give us the reception we kind of want, or give us the feedback? Because there must be unfortunately sometimes gigs you go to, you think, it's not going to be get us the feeling that we want, or it's not the right crowd for us. Does that happen? Or is there certain places that you go to you think, I know it's going to be brilliant tonight?
There's 2 in my mind. One is 3 actually. There's 3 that I love, 3 venues I love playing at. One is the Rock House in Andover, which is like my local. It's just our local sort of hometown show. It's our hometown.
We always get a good turnout there.
We always get a good turnout there, and everyone's always so high energy and stuff to come out and see us and everything. And
it's a floor show, so it's very sweaty. You're there with them, and it's just it's awesome.
It's perfect. It's perfect. The second one was we had a really good show at the Anvil supporting the Fallen State, and it was sort of like we went on as the first band, and everyone was sort of like, you know how it is with the first band, no one's quite sure what's going on and everything, and everyone's just sort of can be very static, but then by the end people were moving and stuff and getting into it and cheering and everything. So that's always cool to hear. It wasn't just the obligatory we're going to clap this band because they're here. They were actually, you could actually see them starting to get invested in our music, which is just great when you see that happen, when you actually see people starting to go, oh, actually this is cool.
I can get on board with this.
Yeah.
So if you're playing to that, and I think you're warming up in that at the Anvil. So does that mean, like, you said at the beginning that wouldn't alter your performance? You still give, of course, you're going to give it 100%, but like, does that change in terms of the theatrical side, the jumping around, the climbing up something? Because you think, okay, well, this crowd, they're still beginning their night. It's like, does it change how you respond?
You don't really want to threaten the crowd by climbing on stuff when they're like not at that stage of that they're going to respond well to climbing on stuff. But you still want to give all the energy that you can. But you have to sort of read the room a little bit. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. You do have to sort of read the room. But the way I see it is that these bands bring out crowds. Like in particular, the Fallen State, they brought out quite a sizable crowd. You want to make that band feel like they've made the right choice in bringing you up as a support act by giving it that extra energy. You don't just want to stand there like, oh, well, the support act, no one's into this. You want to actually get the crowd engaged and warmed up. That's what you're there for. You are the support act.
I always say before every single gig to every member, I forgot what I said now. No, there we go. I always say it's a case of don't rush, because we've got a habit of rushing, as every band does. When you've got the adrenaline running through you, songs just slowly start to get a couple of BPM quicker and quicker and quicker until you're literally rapping the songs at the end of the set. But so, I always say don't rush, have fun, and be the best band of the night. Literally just put in as much effort as you can. Like, you can't do that gig a second time with all the people in the room again. They're there watching you for that one time. So just put in all the effort you can. And as I said earlier, it just makes it then so much easier when you've got the crowd. Because at B-Love, when we played last year, it was Holding Absence, a band that I love. I watched them after on the amp stage, and we were on the main stage. And we're about 4 hours earlier, and it's just seeing all these people flock and come to see because we're putting in the energy. If we were just stood there playing like choir boys, I'm sure they wouldn't be too attracted. But it's the fact that people want to see people up on a stage putting in the effort, putting in, just showing some emotion, not just, you could be the best singer in the world, but if you stand there singing all awkward, people are going to be looking at you like, oh, what's this guy doing? So it's just
it won't go with the theme of the music. And I know, God, when I'm out, from all the different bands I listen to and DJs and everything else, I want my performer to be so in it that then makes me go, fuck it, if he's in it, I'm in it. So, and that's what's attractive is that, and that's why I think people, because energy creates energy, and then the person, like you said, the person next to you is then going crazy. The bands are going crazy. Fuck it, I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's that, if you listen to a band that wasn't like that or was quieter, then your response, you're not going to go, I don't want to be jumping around if they're not, because I'll be the odd one out. But if everyone's doing it, then that's when everyone's going to have that feeling together. And it's a special thing, because you are, like you said, playing to that crowd one time, and that's what at that one moment, and with those people. So that's what I think the great thing is about being a live band, is just that you're creating these wonderful memories.
Yeah, and people, people are going to remember the bad things of you falling off stage and stuff, but as you said, they're going to remember that you're human, and then they're going to think back to the good things and the music. And I just think if you believe in your product, put in the effort, there's, people can't fault you. What they're going to say, oh, he cares a bit too much about his music. I mean,
that's not possible.
Yeah, exactly.
And so falling off the stage would just be, wasn't that hilarious? And then you carry on. That's character.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how I didn't go so red in the face. I was close, but I was like, fuck it. Well, that's it. You just don't care. Like, honestly, when you're on stage, I've said this before, it feels like, I don't know. It's just like, it's I don't know. As a person, you feel exposed. So it's like, I'm nervous just before I get to the stage. And as soon as you get on stage, the nerves just go. As soon as you start playing, start singing, doing what you used to do, and you feel comfortable. And I
definitely go into a weird sort of zone. It's like a weird one. It's very bizarre to explain.
So you stare at people and you're not, it's like, it's kind of like a performance. It is a performance. Well, kind of like a performance.
It's kind of like a performance, he says.
Oh, yeah. Wow, I can't believe I said that. But it's, I don't know if it's, you look at some of these singers on the West End sing and they proper put everything into it. They're acting while singing as well. And it's just the whole picture as it is. It's that's what live shows are all about. Because if you just want to listen to the band, you can do that from home. But it's listening and watching. It's all the senses. Well, if you've
has
got
to be some theatre. So people are going to come watch you live because they know you're going to feel great, and there's some theatre that goes with it. Right? And that's the whole point of being a great rock band. It's not just the sound. It's got to be a performance.
I think there was a great quote from Lemmy who said, like, people don't want to go out and pay money to just see their neighbor perform, or it's something along those lines. They don't just want to go out and see just their neighbor perform on stage. They want to see something that's like out of this world. They want to see something that's so extraordinary and out there because that's new and different. And obviously, I am just someone's neighbor. So we have to go out and put that effort in to make it try and seem like we're out of this world, and we're not really, but
we're just normal dudes.
We were just two dudes trying to make some music, but it's like that's what you try and do. You try and put on that, like, so pretty much like an act. It's like an act. You probably put on the act that you are this like out of this world thing and just run about the place and do stuff like that.
I mean, when I watched your Imminent Funk, I watched that, and that's the perception I suppose you're creating is, we're superstars, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. But even sort of in preparing talking to you, I was thinking, God, these guys are good, and it does create that perception, and I think you've just nailed that, and that's why I think you're so attractive as a band, and why people are going to follow and keep following you, because it's the whole package.
I mean, it's all smoke and mirrors, but no one wants to say that it's all smoke and mirrors because then that breaks the illusion of no, they're not actually whatever I have this perception. Yeah, exactly. They're not. Oh, they're we're just five dudes trying to make music that we like to listen, that we want people to listen to, and that's it.
I think it's
really,
like I think with the whole with the whole music thing, we just wanted people to see what we're like live. I think with going back to the whole act thing, it isn't an act. It's like, obviously we're not that energetic in our day-to-day lives. I'm not moshing on the way to the fridge to get the milk out for the tea. But well, sometimes lockdown's been getting me wild. But no, like it's obviously an act to a certain degree, but I think it's important to also reiterate the fact that we do believe in the music and we're passionate about it. So it's not like we don't care and we're putting in the effort. This is how we feel inside, and we're finally able to let that out in a way that it's seen as all right and not a crazy person jumping about in public. So yeah, to a certain degree, it's an act and it isn't. So it's a weird in between.
It's the context of it all happening and coming together, and I think that's. Whatever type of music you like and you follow is having it all come together. And I think just that's why I love live so much, is just because you can really put your own mark on it. And for me, it's about connecting emotionally to that music and giving the crowd or the people a great feeling. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're doing, because then you're creating that energy, which is why I think so many people are coming to see you.
And that's quite. I mean, we play with a band called the Rattlebacks, and they're awesome live as well. And it's just that, certain bands that are good live, they resonate with people and they are remembered. It's you see someone, and it also makes people. But like I remember, like all the bands we used to play with when we started playing back when we were like 14 and teenagers and stuff. And they're the bands that I still remember vividly today. Bands that like old metal bands like Blood of the Spectre and stuff. I've got a lot of them on Facebook now as well. So they're just normal dudes. But back then I saw them as these like pillars of the musical community, like these guys made it. These are the very top. Their music is amazing. I mean, if anyone likes metal, then go check out Blood of the Spectre. They're awesome. But, a lot of bands like that, I think, especially for younger people going to gigs as well, like we're not the heaviest band. We haven't got the dirtiest riffs. But it's kind of like that. In between, we're heavier than soft rock and not as heavy as metal. So especially for young people going and seeing gigs for the first time, it's a good kind of crossover to bridge them over to other types of music that they wouldn't have necessarily heard before. So yeah, just reiterating, live shows, it's definitely the most important thing in music. I mean, music is, if you think back to sitting around campfires and stuff, like humans inherently, like music is a part of our nature. So And if you just kept it to listening online, I think that'd be very sad.
Is there a certain type of genre or people that you're particularly appealing to? As in, you're going, that's, you can look at your crowd and go, these are our people, because they look a certain way or they act a certain way. Is there a group that you're finding that they're responding the best?
No, no. Anyone, it's open. There are obviously there's some like rockers will probably be more likely to buy into our music, but anyone can, as we're not like specifically targeting demographics. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in specifically targeting demographics. I think that music's for everyone, no matter what your background is or where you're from or what you look like or anything like that. But there is music might resonate with people who have got a history of listening to certain bands, but if someone comes along and they're just like, wow, this is great, that's excellent. I think music's for everyone.
We played a UIC show, a hardcore show, Southampton hardcore show with Realm of Torment, and we thought, there's a bunch of hardcore guys. We're like one of these, alt rock bands. They're just going to take the piss out of us. They're not going to like us. And we're like second on, and everyone loved it. Like it's odd, but then we've gone to other shows as well where it's been more like family events. We played Oktoberfest. Everyone was loving it there, and it was just day-to-day average person out drinking beer at the tent. I think anyone who's jolly or happy just likes bouncy, energetic music. Again, obviously I can't speak for everyone, but yeah, there's no certain like type of person I'd say that gravitates to our music, but there's definitely certain genres I think gravitate more. We typically get good responses from hardcore community, metal community, rock community, obviously like folk and jazz and stuff we haven't really ventured down, but all of the main kind of subgenres of rock, I think it bridges all of them, which is quite good, going back to the point where it's not as heavy as metal but harder than rock, so it's in a weird middle ground.
If you think back to that first gig you all played together, do you remember it well? I mean, and then do you think about kind of what's the journey been to our sort of the latest gig? I mean, what's that evolution been like? Do you remember that first gig you all played?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was at the Rock House in front of about 15 to 20 people, which is great, but it's because we were on early and the main act brought people down. It was great early, for back then. Was fantastic. Which is like great
for back then. I'm just going to reiterate that.
yeah, it was fantastic.
We expect more than that.
Do you have recordings of these performances?
But I went up on. Do we have recordings of that one?
We got some scattered about on. We got like a bank of loads of random recordings that people have taken, but
that's cool. Because you can put that up on SoundCloud or Mixcloud or something like that. Because no doubt people would like to hear you live. Maybe that's not so appropriate for Spotify if you don't want it to be there, but. I'd love to listen to you live and go, this is what they sound like, but also I know what they sound like from a record quality perspective.
Yeah. Well, funny you mention that. Yeah.
Yes.
I knew you were going to say it,
James.
Yeah. We literally just put out. We weren't going to release it until a fair amount in the distant future, but because lockdown happened, and as I said, we're so close to finishing the album, we went over to Sunrise Sound Studio with Andy Hunt, and he bought a new bike, and he was just like, oh guys, do you want to come over and just test it out and play about with it? So we're like, yeah, go on. And we're just drinking, having fun over there, and then we're thinking of like covers that we could do, and I thought, well, I love Lead Belly, I like Nirvana's cover as well, why don't we just do like Where Do You Sleep Last Night in the Pines? And we just did that on the spot, like one take, recorded it, and then Andy did a bit of like EQing, like really like minimal stuff, sent it over to us, and we just released that instead. So that technically is the first thing we've released with AWOW as a distribution company, but that's on Spotify if you want to see it. So that's literally just a live run through of me and James playing Where Do You Sleep Last Night on acoustic. So little things like that we like doing. Little clips on Instagram and Facebook of us playing live, we always try and put out here and there. Just as you said, again, it shows people what we like live as well as on a record, because anyone can sound good on a record if you've got enough skill behind the computer. So it's showing that it is there. It's real. We do sound like that.
And you think the last gig that you've played, what compared to that first one, how has it changed? or how has that sound evolved? And also, no doubt, at each gig you probably played the tracks in a different way, or you talked about having to be careful around the tempo. What does that look like next? No doubt, obviously, you played so many times now that you're going, right, this is far tighter than it used to be.
Yeah, well, so I don't look like someone's dad who got a bit carried away on the night after dropping their kids off to go and play the gig anymore, because that's what I used to like. The very first gig I did, I just looked horrendous. I was basically in work clothes because I just didn't have any casual clothes really, and I just looked absolutely horrific. And I had like a bad haircut. I had like bad clothes on.
You had hair, more importantly. I just say
more importantly, yeah, I just looked like a complete goon. So that's changed a bit. We've sort of look a bit more cohesive as a unit now.
Yeah, but it's weird because we haven't like done it on purpose in a way. We weren't like, right, we all need to dress this way. We've got a strict dress code. It was just like progressively, as our music got a bit more kind of professional and the way we did things got a bit more professional, we just started, I suppose, caring how we looked, because we were just a bit of a motley crew of 5 people who were a bit scruffy and getting up and playing some songs. And we're
I'm thinking there's probably a WhatsApp group that goes around and go, "What are you wearing tonight?"
No, actually, that's never once been said except for in music videos.
Yeah.
Although I remember you
up and been wearing the same thing numerous times. Numerous band's t-shirt or something. Oh dear.
Yeah. You and Tom both with the same St. Agnes t-shirt on. Yeah, that's
twice as well.
Yeah, it's happened twice. Yeah,
we're honestly not one of these bands which really cares about our appearance, which is nice to be in that band because it's just like a weight off your shoulders. You don't really care about that, which is kind of nice.
I'll be honest, I find that hard. I mean, it's good that you have that view. But again, when I go back to thinking about Imminent Funk, I think that band has got the look and the sound and the presence, and so it's interesting to think that's how you are. You turned up like that because you have that image that goes with it. So it's interesting to think, actually, that's not planned. That's quite natural.
I mean, fun fact for you, the boots I'm wearing in that video have been worn at every single Bloodhounds gig. Ever. I haven't worn a single pair of shoes apart from them. So I'm surprised they're still together. But I mean, it goes to show the amount of times that I go out and buy clothes. I've literally had the same pair of boots, and I'm not going to get rid of them at all until they're falling, until there isn't a soul in me or the shoe.
It sounds like they're the lucky charm. That's
maybe
that's getting it going.
Oh yeah, imagine that. The shoes die, and then Joe's just loses the ability to sing after the shoes die.
Oh mate, I feel like the amount of times I used to practice all the time. During lockdown, I haven't really been able to practice, so I feel like I'm getting to that point now. But every now and then I go out on the drive and put the shoes on, go out on the drive, have a little sing. Oh, I can still do it. It's fine.
That's it. I mean, how do you keep? Obviously, James can play the guitar, or I mean, Joey. I mean, how do you keep your voice in as good as it is? I mean, do you just sit there and you sing to get? How do you do it?
It's a difficult one. I always feel weird given it. Like some people ask for advice on certain singing things. I don't have any formal qualifications, so I don't feel like I've got any weight behind my words. But what I do is, I mean, it's just practice a lot of the time. Like as I said, the recording of the first time that me and Jack got in a room and played Hounds, like it's the melody's basically the same to what the melody of Hounds is now, but the singing quality is so naff. But it's just work. It's an instrument just like anything else. Like everyone can sing. People like Louis Armstrong, found a genre that fitted their voice. You just need to put in effort and work, and I did all of that. And all the kind of bands that I used to listen to and the singers that I loved, you kind of naturally try and, well, I think you find out what your voice can do first and then gravitate towards bands that have similar types of singers. So obviously bands like Motorhead and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam, I would just sing along to, and Alter Bridge and stuff. And you just learn the different kind of ways that your throat needs to work and your muscles to make them certain sounds. And then again, just like anything, the more you do it, the better you get. In lockdown, obviously, as I said, it's difficult because I can't sing all the time. Because we've got upstairs neighbours, we're in a flat. So as I said, I go out sometimes in the car, but it's just practice. no coffee. Well, I drink a lot of coffee at the moment, but before gigs and stuff, no coffee.
That's interesting.
No ice cold or hot water.
What is it about coffee that affects your?
It's caffeine.
vocal?
It just dries your throat out. It's like caffeine, alcohol, both quite bad for your voice. It kind of, what I find is, yeah, I mean, if you're sober, that will give you the best singing performance, definitely. Alcohol is quite bad for the voice.
This is the most rock and roll thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I used to drink a bottle of whiskey like on some of these gigs, and I think that was 2018. Like nearly the amount of whiskey we got through was ridiculous. And then I was just like,
during the whole gig.
Oh yeah, like half a bottle before, and then the other half on stage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, you're drinking on stage as well.
Yeah, Joiners was messy.
I love that.
I
love that.
But again, it's like it was fun, and then we kind of got past that stage. And we're like, there's we believe in this music. We don't want to squander any gigs. We want to have fun, but we don't want to be counterintuitive. So, if I just maybe leave the drink until after, that'd be a bit more sensible. And it helps with gigs. Singing is a lot easier. Not eating before, I find that helps.
And is that you take it upon yourself to have a word and go, you know what, I can't drink half a bottle of whiskey, but actually, because it's going to improve the vocal, and you think, or is actually some of the band gone around and said, you're flying high here?
Yeah, the band, it's a weird one because we're all as bad as each other.
Yeah,
and we all.
Imagine you're all egging each other on, going, let's enjoy tonight. Let's have a couple of whiskeys.
Yeah, we are. But again, when it gets too much, they are good at kind of slapping you back in place. So that we're friends before we're band members, and that's very important because it's everyone's got each other's kind of best interests at heart, which is very important in a band. So everyone knows each other's heart, where they're
sort of limits,
where they lie
really.
And stuff. Yeah, know each other's limits.
And when things start getting out of hand, sometimes it is just like it's happened, which they have to a few of our members, because it's quite easy to get caught up into the thing of, it's a party. Our gigs go out and have a party, and then we just go out and party, and everyone's party's a little bit too hard, and maybe
especially with the Rattlebacks as well.
Yeah, with a few
when
people.
Our two bands get together, it's just a nightmare. Every single gig, we played a few with them as well, and I mean they're amazing. It's weird that you find a band that you play with and just gravitate towards like as people as well. So they're awesome people, but yeah, I mean, yeah, they can get quite messy. But yeah, alcohol definitely isn't good for singing, kids.
Yeah, or guitar playing.
Or guitar playing. Yeah, the worst thing is it makes you think you're good as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is the worst part about it. But yeah, no, or little caffeine as possible. No really cold drinks. No really hot drinks.
Chocolate. No chocolate.
No chocolate or dairy. That's really bad for your throat. Lots of like water, but not too much. You don't want to be like full, but you don't want to be like, because you don't want to throw up on stage, but you don't want to be dying from hunger as well. So it's a weird in between.
Boys, give me 1 second. Talk amongst yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Talk about the album, and I will be back in 30 seconds.
All right, no worries.
So James, I'm going to become the interviewer.
Okay, give me a question, fella. Give me a question.
So, what song are you most looking forward to from this upcoming album?
I don't think I have to answer that question. I don't think you're the interview. I don't think you're the authority here. I don't think you're the interviewer at all. I think you're a sham and a fraud. I think you're a sham.
I didn't hear you. Sorry, can you say that again?
I think you're a sham, and I think you're a fraud, and I think you're not the interviewer here at all.
What makes you say that?
What makes me say that? It's just your professionalism, I'd say, towards this entire event.
It's subpar.
I think it's lacking, and I think you need to go home and have a word with yourself, for being perfectly honest.
Gonna play Rocket League later?
Yeah, all right. Go on then. Rocket League sounds like a good shout, actually. Rocket League sounds like a good shout.
Oh.
Maybe play a bit of Dota. I was playing Dota yesterday, actually. I've gotten back into playing a few games of Dota.
Really? Well, Joseph. Shut up, James, because there's something more important than you right now.
Is that really?
Yeah.
Okay, show me.
My girlfriend Jazz just finished this drawing for everyone. It's a bat skull. Oh, you can't see
That's
it because
sick.
You can kind of see it if I come back here. Oh, there we go.
That's awesome.
This is some
That
weird
looks
art
amazing.
attack.
Yeah, so here's one I prepared earlier.
This is look, this is what I prepared earlier. So that's the bat skull.
Where's Hector, Joe? Where's Hector?
Should I get? He's
Go
asleep.
get Hector. Go get Hector. Bring
what.
Hector into this.
There we go. Grab
Make sure he doesn't chomp your shoulder again.
He likes doing that.
He does. He does indeed. Hector, for anyone who doesn't know, is Joe's amazingly cute cat. Oh, Simon is back. Sorry, Simon. We're just gonna.
Hector can wait.
Hector can wait. Yeah. Damn, we've teased the cat now. We've teased the cat, and no one's gonna see it. That's amazing. Oh, sorry, you're on mute. I think Simon.
Your mic's on mute.
Oh. Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Boom, boom, boom. It might be. Is there a mute button on your?
About now?
There we go.
Yes,
Perfect.
you're back.
I'm now, unfortunately, after all this great work we've done over the last bit of time, you're going to go. You remember when we were interviewed by that guy who just left halfway through?
I took over your job.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah,
I channeled my inner interviewer.
What were you talking about? So where did we get to? So you said some sort of animal was going to join us.
Oh, Hector.
Like
Yeah,
that,
you got to get Hector now. You got to get Hector. 1 second. Joe's going to go grab Hector for us to see. Hector Stinkman. I like to call him Hector.
Talk to me about
Stinkman.
Hector. What is?
He's a cat. He's a cat, and he's the cutest cat that you've ever seen. Well, maybe not you, Simon, actually, because you're also a cat owner, but I don't have cats, so I'm allowed to say that about other people's cats. Obviously, for you, Simon, your cats are the cutest cats you've ever seen.
Well, obviously.
Obviously.
The challenge is I've had my cats for like 15 years now, so they've left. They're no longer cute. And
no, they still are.
They're just older now. They're very mature in their approach to life. One of them's just incredibly slow and fat. And so I got Badger and Tiger. By the way, when my wife listens to this back, she's going to go, I can't believe you're fucking talking about the cats. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Look at him. Look at him. He's in his little bed.
So he refuses to come out. I did try and drag him out.
That's amazing because I can't get my cats to go in.
Oh, he was very sleepy. He was a bit annoyed that I disturbed him.
I can imagine.
But this is Hector for everyone. This
Hector.
is
Good
our
name,
9-month kitten.
9 months. Wow.
Yeah.
Are they still a kitten at 9? When do they become cats?
I think so. When do they become cats? 1 year and 4 months? 1 year and 6 months? About a year and a half, apparently.
That was it. Wow.
He's got a bit of growing to do, but he's getting fluffy.
Hopefully not much more growing. He's a large lad. He's a big old fella.
Is there a chance we're going to see Hector in one of the videos? I think that's what everyone's desperate to know. Is there a cameo appearance somewhere?
You know what? I've been playing about with some video editing, and I've been trying my hand at some lyric videos, so I could do one and have him mime the whole song. I think I could teach him the song, to be fair.
You reckon?
The lyrics aren't too difficult. My vocabulary isn't too great, as we've all heard. So I think the cat can pick it up.
I'm already excited about this. I just know that we're on to a winner.
Probably wouldn't even need subtitles for him. You would for me, but not for him.
That's a video in itself. Where you've got the cat as the lead rock singer. I just think it's a winner, right?
Yeah, perfect. On
get green screen suits. Oh,
yeah, and hold him up
in the background.
Hold him up.
Dear me.
Wow.
Yeah.
This has been really great. I've really enjoyed talking to you. Well, what's next? So clearly we've got this album coming, and none of us know what's going to happen with COVID. So it's just, I mean, have you got gigs booked in for the latter part of the year, or is it all off, or what happens? What gigs have sort of stayed in the diary?
We've got some gigs later in the year, like in November time. I think that's 21st. The gig to 21st of November, which is Danny Warsnop, the Cruel Knives, and us. And that's still tentatively in the diary and going ahead, which should be great. All things if everything goes to plan.
Touch wood.
How weird is it going to be if we start doing gigs again, but you've got to be socially distanced?
Yeah,
it's gonna be strange, isn't it? It's just gonna be
bizarre.
I honestly don't know how it's going to work.
It's a challenge that everyone should be embracing, I think.
Because I mean, everyone wants to get out. I mean, obviously what's happening with the pubs is that they're going to say, right, you can just go drink, but in the gardens, but you socially distance, which is going to be hilarious, by the way, because when people have had a few drinks in that first weekend, I'm going to say it's July, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
People will be in pub gardens getting hammered, and it's going to be really difficult to do that. But if you're at a gig or a festival, I mean, it's just going to be so much more difficult. But you're still going to be desperate to be playing again. So it's just that dichotomy.
It's difficult social distancing from each other as well. Like when we're playing gig, I constantly lean over the drum kit and get in Mike's face and have a laugh with him and like, it's just, sorry, you can't hear my girlfriend. She said I get in everyone's face, but yeah, I do. But yeah, it's going to be hard to social distance for us on stage, but it might be a case of, I don't know, they might find like a middle ground maybe. Like you can go in and be within 1 meter if you sign this disclosure form of some kind, or like a Trump form or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be a weird new normality, but eventually it will get back to normal. Like, I mean, there's been pandemics before. It's just, it's shit for a while, and then, we'll have to put up with the aftermath.
The interesting thing is, in different places around the world, like in the US, they're already back in restaurants, and it just means that there's people are covered in masks and they're fully covered or whatever. But just they're coming back to a normality. They're trying to get it reintroduced, but just in a different way. And I suppose it's just how quickly we in the South, how quickly it can be reintroduced for us. Obviously, we're a much smaller country, so therefore there's the proximity. It's I think all of us, everyone who loves music, is just desperate to get back out. I want to say we're not far off when B-Love was going to be. I can't remember the date of it.
Yeah, that's true. B-Love was next month.
So we were working towards this, and then also I said at the beginning, February was the time when we got told, and then of course it was all we thought we were going to get told in February, then it was all off after. But thinking, all this work, everyone's done all the different. Obviously, John's put in a whole bunch of work, your manager, to get the right lineup, and B-Love is such a great festival.
Shout out to John, by the way. He is
definitely.
When it comes to putting acts together, he is absolutely phenomenal. Like even back going to college in Basingstoke, B-Love was always the event every year where everyone would go with their mates for the weekend and go watch. And it was always the amp stage that or back then I think it was the amp stage back then? It might have been called something else then. But that's where we'd always go and just watch bands all day. So being part of it is cool, being one of the bands actually playing on the other side of the coin is awesome. But I mean, he was telling us about some of the obviously not going to mention anything, but it was a cool year. So it's annoying that it's been put on hold. It was a really, really cool year. But I mean, again, it means when the future comes and it all comes back, it's just going to be that much sweeter,
How did you sort of come across John, and then how did that sort of partnership work itself out?
That was literally when we used to play gigs back in Sanctuary, when we used to run Sanctuary in Basingstoke.
R.I.P. Sanctuary.
What was it? The
great.
Lounge Bar.
That was such a great place as well. I loved going there.
It was.
Yeah, and the Lounge Bar as well. We used to play with one of my really old bands back when we were playing metalcore and stuff. And obviously that was changed the Mousetrap or something, and then that was shut down. But yeah, there's so many gigs I remember still from them, like venues like the Lounge Bar, the Smoking Hearts played there. I Set to Kill played there. Trying to think of some other like Cold Harbour, if you remember them. What's that band that we used to do? I'll remember them in a bit. But yeah, there's so many gigs that I remember from them venues. I just remember him from then. He's put us on. And then when Bloodhounds was starting, it was 2 years after me and Jack were last in a band. He was the only person I remembered. Him and someone called Hadley, who used to do gigs at the Railway in Winchester. Because that was a gig that we used to play back in the day as well. So it was just hooking up with people that I knew in the game still. And luckily John was still putting on gigs. So I popped some stuff over to him, and I think he gave us a show at Sanctuary, didn't he, to begin with? And then we were supposed to play the last show at Sanctuary, actually, but Jack was on holiday.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically how we came to meet John. But he was only putting us on a show here or there until we obviously realised that he took on bands for helping management wise as well. So yeah, he's been helping us ever since, and it's so good to have someone else on board that isn't emotionally connected in the same way that all 5 members of the band are, with all sorts of things as well. Like we've been in recording process, and one of the other producers, Undy, is chimed in and gone, "Oh, why don't you do that instead of this?" And it's something that we've never thought of before because we've constantly done the same thing. So I
suppose it's getting those different perspectives. But John is as passionate as he is about music and bands. But also then he comes with a whole world of experience of doing this so many times, not in all different ways, to then to get that opinion to go, God, you guys are good, and to do more or do less with this.
And it's little simple things as well, like just something you wouldn't even think of. We're because we're doing it kind of indie. We're trying to do the business side of it as well as the whole music side. So it's nice having some of the weight relieved a bit, and having someone who knows what they're doing, just sort out some of the core shit, and it's just so much easier. But yeah, I mean, again, it's finding all these people and just making a team and going forward with that team. We've got, Jazz, my girlfriend, doing the artwork, and she's absolutely phenomenal. She's a graphic designer. We've got Adam doing all the production. We've got Undy at Sunrise Studio, a space to record and stuff, and obviously he helps producing as well. So we've got all these people in the mix. We've got photographers, videographers that all kind of care about the project and are generally good people. And again, it's just putting money in the pockets of self-employed people who need it. And I think it's very, very pure way of doing it, and it's very good. But John's definitely helped. It's
great to hear that you're sort of creating an ecosystem of people, that tradespeople that and trust, and that they're going to be doing the right things for you as a band, and they're invested, right? They're invested because they want the band to be successful.
Yeah, 100%.
So that you've got a group of trusted people there.
There's incredible. So many, especially in past experiences and past genres. There's so many. Kind of got a song about it on the new album a little bit, but it's that kind of crab in the barrel mentality. I think if you don't want to surround yourself with just yes men, but if you surround yourself with people that are actually nice people and want you to succeed, just like you want them to succeed, it makes things so much nicer. And that's why it's like Adam, our producer, he's got his own bands that are doing so well as well, like Diabolus and Scolds, which are a lot heavier than us. It's kind of like new metal, hardcore, deathcore a bit with Diabolus. So it's very, very heavy. But I mean, they're doing really well, and it's so good seeing them do well as well. And it's just supporting each other where you can. And it's that whole friends, and then the music kind of comes second. And that's what's kind of special about the team that we're getting.
Yes, gents, it's been a real pleasure having some time with you and being able to talk so candidly and quite so open, not just about your band, but the music industry and falling off stage. And it's been really enlightening and great. And all I can say is I just really wish you well for the future. And there's going to be a lot of people anticipating and really looking forward to the album coming out. Did you say there's a couple of EPs coming prior to that to keep everyone?
A couple of singles coming.
Yeah, a couple of singles.
Prior to that, yeah. That we're going to release music videos for those singles and then put the album out after that. Yeah,
we give a rough kind of date around.
This is going to be an exclusive. This is going to be an exclusive. I'm going to take this one.
Okay, yeah, no,
right.
It is. It's an exclusive. There's been a couple in this podcast, to be fair.
Just co-timing when the pubs reopen.
But yeah, first single should be mid to late July, hopefully, and then a couple in between, and then album early October, if
hopefully.
Everything goes
tentatively.
And you might also hear us on. We can't say who it is, but you might also hear us on another release relatively soon in August as well. Which is very different.
Teased us with that.
It's not rock. It's not metal. It's definitely something different. But yeah, it's really cool. It's an artist that we know went in, wrote a song, sang on the song, wrote the lyrics, sang the lyrics, and yeah, that's going to be a blast. So
we'll mention more when it comes out. But no, thank you so much for having us, mate. Like, I hope we didn't bore you too much with rambling along.
It's been brilliant. It really has. It's been so enlightening. You know, just to know about the recording process and your creative process and the videos are so watchable. They're so good. So listen, I wish you all so much success for the future. And listen, when you get back out and playing again, let's hook up again and have another chat, because it'd just be good to see kind of how everything's now developed. You know, the album comes later this year, Q4 sort of October time, and then it'd be great to see the reaction and see what sort of feedback when you're out playing your gigs. Let's all really sort of hope and wish that we're also all back out there by then. That's what everybody wants.
Well,
it's been great, gents. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having us, mate. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. You take care. Cheers.
Take care, mate.
Take care, fella. Cheers.